Yeah, and that's the problem that I have with this whole situation. But I am going to save this conversation for Jay-Z. Jay-Z, you're watching. I know you're watching because you got people calling me. Stop having people call me. You can call me yourself. You know how to get my number. You know you got people calling me. Call me yourself because this right here is going to go viral.
And we may actually see one of the biggest divorces in Hollywood is because Jay-Z is up next to be exposed.
Jay-Z, Beyoncé, and Aaliyah conspiracy. What if the most powerful couple in music isn't merely protecting their image, but actively erasing anyone who dares to uncover their darkest secrets? That question has long haunted the music industry, whispered in backrooms, record label offices, and late-night studio sessions. Now, however, it's more than just gossip. Jason Lee has finally laid out his claims in court. His lawsuit against Jay-Z and Beyoncé isn't about seeking attention or money. He claims it's about survival. According to Lee, his entire career began to crumble piece by piece ever since he hinted at knowing something explosive about the Carters' past. Suddenly, shows were canceled, sponsors ghosted him, and he started receiving anonymous messages warning him to stay quiet. Or else. Lee asserts that the intimidation escalated one night outside a Los Angeles event when someone allegedly attempted to send him a deadly message, leaving him severely shaken. While Lee has always been known as a magnet for drama, wild, outspoken, and unfiltered, this time it feels different. This isn't about seeking clicks or headlines. It feels deeply personal. The lawsuit and the threat court documents filed in early 2025 detail what Lee calls years of intimidation, supposedly carried out by a powerful network connected directly to Jay-Z and Beyoncé. People close to the situation say Lee once bragged about possessing the real story behind Aaliyah's death. That's when, according to the lawsuit, everything flipped. Lee suddenly stopped mentioning the Carters and toned down his posts. His lawyers claim that this is when the serious threats began. The entire situation suggests something bigger than a simple personal feud. It sounds like a concerted effort to keep a lid on secrets that could shake the foundations of the entire music industry. The unsettling mystery of Aaliyah's Final Flight 2. Understand why the single name Aaliyah still sends chills through the industry. We must rewind all the way back to 2001. Officially, her death was ruled a tragic plane crash. But the deeper one looks, the more the story feels unsettling. She was flying on a small twin-engine Cessna 402B that was overloaded by nearly 700 pounds. Seconds after takeoff from Marsh Harbor in the Bahamas, the aircraft went down in flames. Compounding the tragedy, the pilot, Luis Morales, was not certified to fly that specific plane. His toxicology report showed traces of illegal substances and intoxicants. The plane was too heavy. The weight balance was incorrect, and the flight paperwork turned out to be falsified. Everyone on board, Aaliyah's bodyguard, makeup artist, and crew, lost their lives instantly. The coroner's inquest concluded quietly in 2003. Lawsuits were settled behind closed doors, and all the official files were sealed tight. However, that explanation has never satisfied many in the public. Aaliyah was only 22 and at the peak of her fame. The weekend before her death, she was surrounded by some of the biggest figures in hip-hop, including Damon Dash and Jay-Z, among others whose names still raise eyebrows. Something about that weekend and the circumstances surrounding it has never fully added up. Right before the incident, Aaliyah had just wrapped filming the iconic Rock the Boat video, which would go on to define her legacy. A dark turn before takeoff here is the part most people still argue about. She allegedly didn't even want to get on that flight. According to a Bahamian witness who came forward years later, Aaliyah was completely drained that day and reportedly refused to board the plane, saying she wanted to rest. The witness claims that things then took a dark turn. Aaliyah was allegedly carried onto the aircraft after being given a sleeping pill to calm her down. The system of silence and the deepening scandal, the possibility that Aaliyah was unconscious when the doomed plane took off is chilling, especially since these accounts were never definitively disproven, only quietly brushed aside. That same summer in 2001, Jay-Z was frequently spotted with Aaliyah at Hamptons parties, recording sessions, and high-profile industry events, often alongside Damon Dash and other power players. Insiders reported that Jay-Z was completely taken by her, and Damon Dash later admitted that both men were fiercely competing for her attention. By August 2001, Aaliyah had officially started dating Dash, yet Jay-Z's circle never seemed far away. Then came the crash. Sudden, tragic, and, according to whispers from a few producers and label insiders, too convenient. Publicly, the industry offered only grief and tributes. Privately, dangerous questions were being asked that never received real answers. The pilot's shady record, the last-minute change of aircraft, and the sealed legal settlements. Taken together, they create a picture that feels chillingly familiar. A perfect example of how power protects itself. A system of protection. Quietly, efficiently, and with deep pockets that make the truth disappear. Every time a witness tries to speak up, the story changes, the evidence fades, and somebody's career mysteriously collapses. The collapse of Jason Lee's career. When Jason Lee began dropping hints online that he had evidence connecting Jay-Z to one of the music industry's darkest unresolved tragedies, everything flipped overnight. His Hollywood Unlocked show suddenly lost its distribution deal, sponsors backed out, and major platforms stopped mentioning his name. That same week, Lee posted that someone high up had warned him to stop digging into Aaliyah's files. After that, things spiraled fast. By early 2025, he claimed his accounts were hacked, his phone contacts deleted, and multiple contracts were pulled by companies tied to Roc Nation's business circle. It was as if someone had hit a button and wiped out his entire digital life. In his lawsuit, Lee describes a calculated campaign of retaliation, including financial blackouts, smear efforts, and even a physical confrontation in Miami. After announcing plans for a tell-all documentary, Lee says a man connected to a Roc Nation security team approached him outside a hotel and directly warned him to stop mentioning old names. Officially, this is being labeled as harassment, but people close to Lee insist it felt like something much darker, a definitive warning meant to shut him down. The cracking of an untouchable image. The real question now isn't just whether Jason Lee is telling the truth, but why so many in the industry are terrified to even ask. Every few years, another whisper surfaces about what the Carters might know, who they've protected, and how far they are willing to go to keep certain stories. Buried for good, one former insider perfectly described it as a system of silence that's been running strong since the late 90s. The names at the top haven't changed: Jay-Z, Beyoncé, and others. Only the stakes have. The timing of these events is becoming highly suspicious. One empire recently collapsed under the weight of hidden scandals. Jay-Z is now facing a new civil lawsuit accusing him of assault that allegedly took place in 2000, right after the MTV Video Music Awards. Note, online reports indicate this lawsuit was later dismissed with prejudice after the accuser acknowledged inconsistencies, but Jay-Z did face legal action regarding this timeframe. The circles, the lawyers, and even the alleged victims from that same year are starting to connect in eerie ways. After years of secret settlements, NDAs, and silenced voices, the Carters' so-called untouchable image is beginning to crack. When you line up the timing, Jason Lee's lawsuit no longer looks like random gossip. It looks like the next domino tipping over in a much bigger chain reaction that is finally hitting the industry's biggest names. Lee's filings even hint at a hidden archive of information, a vault supposedly connecting major figures across 2 decades of Hollywood and music scandals. While Lee has not yet publicly released the evidence, insiders close to him swear he is sitting on something explosive. The same people who once called him a loudmouth or a clout chaser are now staying quiet, and that silence speaks volumes. Some believe this archive connects back to sealed court files from the early 2000s, specifically the wrongful death cases tied to Aaliyah's flight that never saw the light of day. Others speculate that the explosive information Jason Lee holds could involve private label communications from the time when both Aaliyah and Beyoncé were under the same powerful industry umbrellas. Whatever the truth may be, the implications appear massive because multiple law firms have already intervened to block Jason Lee's discovery requests, citing exemptions based on national security and privacy. That phrase, national security, has sent shockwaves across the internet. The question is widely asked: since when does national security have anything to do with a pop star's civil lawsuit? The very mention of it suggests a level of influence and cover-up far exceeding typical entertainment industry disputes. Jay-Z's legal team currently insists that all of Lee's accusations are entirely false, labeling him a desperate opportunist, chasing headlines amidst the chaos surrounding another high-profile conviction in the industry. However, this response is starting to sound way too familiar. We have heard this playbook before, after Aaliyah's crash, after Michael Jackson's scandals, and after Lisa Left Eye Lopes' mysterious accident in Honduras. The routine remains the same. Sealed files, destroyed footage, and an entire culture that moves on before anyone gets real answers. This pattern feels chillingly deliberate, like history repeating itself right in front of us. Why this time is different. Despite the familiar tactics, something about this current situation feels distinct. The lawsuit is public. It's everywhere, and Jason Lee refuses to back down. According to sources close to the case, Lee has already taken steps to ensure his evidence is protected, handing copies to his legal team and a few trusted individuals just in case anything suspicious happens to him. This preparation hints at the gravity of the threat he perceives. Here is where the claims become especially compelling. One insider alleges that the protected materials could directly link the same network of producers and executives who surrounded Aaliyah during her final week to the new allegations circling Jay-Z. If that connection is real, and for now, it remains a huge if. It would mean the empire built to protect the Carters has cracks way deeper than anyone ever thought possible. That brings us to the question no one wants to say out loud. What exactly did Jason Lee uncover that made him too dangerous to be ignored? The machine of silence. This is how the power game truly works. When someone threatens the image of the untouchables, the first move isn't violence, it's silence. The machine immediately activates using non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, secret payouts, and hush money, sealed court filings that are never allowed to see the light of day. It's a strategy the industry perfected long ago, using fear, influence, and money to bury anything that could expose the truth. Now that one of those powerful figures has already been sentenced to years in federal custody, the spotlight is shifting closer to everyone else connected to that same old system. The system that protected powerful men for decades didn't just survive, it thrived. Every witness who ever tried to speak out was met with the same three walls: denial, deflection, and legal intimidation. If one mogul could orchestrate this, imagine what Jay-Z and Beyoncé can do with a billion-dollar empire and a network of high-caliber lawyers. The clear message: we are currently watching that same machine move in real time. Multiple insiders say Jason Lee's lawsuit set off a chain reaction, a wave of cease and desist letters, sudden trademark audits, and canceled contracts. All of this looks official on paper, but it sends one clear, chilling message: stop talking or lose everything. This is the same quiet power play that once ruled the industry, isolating accusers, burying evidence, and silencing anyone who knew too much by offering them lucrative consulting deals to keep their mouths shut. Everything dressed up as business, but all built on fear. Longtime industry veterans say it's the oldest playbook in Hollywood, refined to perfection. Step 1, legal threats. Step 2, smear campaigns to kill credibility. Step 3, total erasure from the industry. The most chilling revelation is that Jason Lee might not be the only one. Insiders whisper that several others, former managers, assistants, even label staff, have faced the exact same pressure: quiet threats, vanishing opportunities, and careers that suddenly flatlined the moment they got too close to the truth. Some claim that a few witnesses were forced to sign NDAs through shell companies, while others took hush money buyouts that legally forbid them from ever mentioning certain names again. If that's true, then Jason Lee's lawsuit isn't just one man fighting back. It's the first public break in a systemic cover-up. The cracks in the fortress, exposing the system. The current legal confrontation is widely viewed as the first visible crack in a massive system built to bury its own witnesses and rewrite history. We have witnessed this cycle too many times across Hollywood and the music world. A scandal breaks out, a lawsuit drops, and then sudden silence. Careers vanish, statements are retracted, and the media moves on like nothing ever happened. But this time, Jason Lee is not disappearing quietly. His public claims of being blacklisted, hacked, having his shows pulled, and receiving direct threats have forced people to stop dismissing the situation as mere gossip and actually pay attention. The chilling question now hanging over the industry is, how many voices has this network already erased? The overreaction of an empire. The timing is highly suspicious. Just a few months after a high-profile federal sentencing rattled the industry, Jay-Z's legal team hit back hard, filing a countersuit against Jason Lee's lawyers and branding every claim a malicious fabrication. This move shocked even veteran reporters. If the allegations were truly baseless, why respond with such overwhelming legal firepower? The overreaction screams of exposure. Why would an entire corporate army mobilize just to crush a story they claim is a total lie? It's as if the Carter's empire is trying to prove its power through intimidation, suing, silencing, and spending millions just to make the noise disappear. The harder they push back, the more people wonder what they are truly trying to hide. Secrets, profit, and the systemic stakes behind all the courtroom chaos, a darker theory is gaining traction. Some insiders believe this lawsuit was never about blackmail or clout. They think Jason Lee's files contain evidence of something far deeper, a web of influence connecting artists, executives, and financiers who have quietly benefited from keeping certain scandals buried for decades. If that network truly exists, it would explain everything: the panic, the sudden media blackouts, and the intense counterattacks. The fear isn't just about one man's accusations, it's about what could come spilling out if those sealed documents ever go public. The stakes are no longer just personal, they are systemic. With Jay-Z facing civil accusations dating back to the early 2000s and Beyoncé's billion-dollar brand intertwined with global corporations, every hidden truth becomes a financial risk, and every silenced voice a calculated expense. In this world, secrets aren't just protected, they are profitable. Imagine the chaos if those hidden depositions were made public, exposing how record deals were traded to buy silence, how artists were blacklisted for telling the truth, how one generation's downfall conveniently cleared the way for another to rise. Jason Lee might have opened a door that the industry thought was locked forever, and he is standing toe-to-toe with an empire built on fear, loyalty, and buried secrets. The fortress of fear. The paradox is that the harder that empire fights to contain Lee, the louder the whispers grow. Anonymous emails are now circulating, old insiders are resurfacing, and fans are digging through 2-decade-old footage, catching inconsistencies that no longer add up. It's starting to feel like a massive power structure is cracking under its own weight. Real power doesn't just rely on money or lawyers, it thrives on fear and control. The world surrounding Jay-Z and Beyoncé is described by former staff and collaborators not just as a team, but a fortress guarded by silent obedience and absolute control. In this environment, access equals status. One wrong move can erase everything you've worked for. Favors are currency, traded for leverage, ensuring everyone is tied to the system so no one can walk away clean. But here's the ultimate question. What happens when that fear finally fades? When the ones who have been silenced for years decide they have nothing left to lose? History has proven time and again that every empire eventually collapses, not from an external attack, but from within, by a disillusioned assistant, a producer who kept receipts, or a friend who saw just a little too much. This is a compelling piece. Here is the rewritten text, focusing on clarity, flow, and professionalism while maintaining the dramatic tone and original message. Enhanced passage. Each one of these individuals could be the spark that finally brings the curtain down. As the power shifts and old alliances begin to crumble, loyalty is dissolving. The very people who once guarded industry secrets are now questioning whether protecting power still guarantees safety, or if it instead paints a target directly on their backs. If Jason Lee's lawsuit pushes even a single insider to break their silence, the entire structure could collapse overnight. The unspoken code that has protected this industry for decades, built on favors, fear, and buried truths, could finally crack wide open, exposing the debts, betrayals, and moral compromises hidden beneath all the glitz and glamour. If that day comes, no amount of luxury, influence, or philanthropy will be enough to shield the empire from the storm that is sure to follow. The question currently hanging over the industry is hauntingly simple. How many more Jason Lees are out there, waiting for the right moment to speak up? Because if Jason is right, this is not just another celebrity feud. It's a full-blown war for truth, fought behind closed doors in boardrooms and backrooms, where every contract and every signature holds the potential to end someone's career. In battles like these, the first person to fall is usually the one brave enough to speak. But what happens when that person refuses to stop talking? Are we about to witness the fall of one of the most protected empires in music history, or the destruction of the man who dared to challenge it? I want to hear your thoughts. Do you believe Jason Lee's claims, or do you think he is pushing against forces far bigger than he can handle? Share your thoughts below.